Hello, everyone. I hope all of you are having a good time with the orientation program. I just wanted to share a couple of thoughts before we start the session. Don't worry if you cannot understand all the concepts. The objective of all the sessions is not to make you an expert in these areas. It is more about giving awareness of the different aspects of our MBA program. So it's okay not to understand. We just want all of you to kind of have an overall view of the topics that we are talking about, because it's very difficult to understand these concepts in one session. So it is okay to not understand, but as long as you're able to get the big picture. So for example, we have been talking about digital transformation, how companies have to embrace embrace digital technologies, because these days without digital, nobody can survive. And we have been talking about different areas. So last week, we talked about harnessing customer networks. So if you understand this big picture, that is enough, especially the digital musings sessions. Don't worry if you don't understand all the concepts. Okay, good morning, everyone. Welcome to this session on building platforms and not just products. So we have been talking about digital transformation in this section of digital musings. My first talk was introduction to digital transformation and digital disruption. And we discussed why digital transformation is essential for today's businesses, because there are new disruptions coming from very small players. We saw some examples of how Amazon, who started out in mid-90s, completely disrupted the book industry, the retail book industry. And not only that, they are now disrupting almost all other retail areas. So we saw many examples, and we also said that existing businesses have to embrace digital transformation. And the 5 areas where digital transformation was necessary was also discussed. And in the second talk, we went in detail on one of those areas, which was customer networks. So we said the customers are not behaving as they used to behave before the digital era. How now customers within themselves are promoting and talking about brands. So it is essential for companies to embrace those networks in order to deliver and capture value. Now, I'm going to keep using this particular term, value, many times. And I'm going to even give you a quiz on value just to ensure that you understand what value means in business context. Okay, so without further ado, let's go to the second area, which is building platforms. Now, the objective of this session is going to be, we should all understand by the end of the session, what is a platform? Now, we all know what a business is. We create products and we sell products. Businesses create products or services and sell, market to respective users. But now, what is a platform? So by the end of the session, you'll know what it is. Now, we should also understand, how does platforms create value? Okay, so how does businesses create value? They provide goods and services and customer service and all these things. But how does platforms create value? Is it different from the traditional business? Hopefully you'll understand the differences and the nuances after this session. And we will explore platforms in the context of Facebook's business model. Again, we saw Facebook's business model in my introduction talk, but that was for a very few minutes. We said we will explain that in our subsequent talks. And in this talks, we are going to go in detail and we are going to rip apart the different aspects of the business model, and we'll try to understand how Facebook is creating value and capturing value. Okay, so these are the three objectives. Now, what is a platform? So we just start with a definition. So a platform is a business that creates value by facilitating direct interactions between two or more distinct types of customers. Now, don't worry if you don't understand this whole thing, but the important thing here is it has to facilitate. Now, what do you mean by facilitating? It need not provide goods and services like traditional businesses. It just needs to help people who are producing goods and services connect with other users who are in need of those goods and services. So the platform, that is what facilitating means. And there has got to be two distinct types of customers if you have to mention something as being conforming to the definition of platform. If there is just one set of customers, it's not enough. Now, what do I mean by two sets of customers? For a platform, a seller is also a customer because he's using that particular platform, and a buyer is also a customer. So that's what I mean by two distinct set of customers. So the key terms here are facilitating and interactions between two or more. So two is the minimum. You can have more customers. Now, customers for a platform is little different from a business. Please understand that, because a platform need not, most of the time will not sell any particular product. It will just connect different types of customers. So what are the platforms that are available in the world? Okay, so we have kind of segregated by different industries. So in retail, we all know Amazon is a very big platform provider who has different products from different buyers, and we all go, different sellers go and buy products from Amazon. Now, Amazon Marketplace means, again, you know, Amazon need not, especially in India, Amazon doesn't have any products. It just brings different buyers and sellers to the platform. In US, yes, it has Amazon's products, but in India, I think 99% of the products are coming from the marketplace. So similarly, eBay is also a platform. So Taobao is a Chinese platform for retail. So if you see, there are different kinds of platforms that we are using day in and day out. Many of you might not have thought of YouTube as a platform because you might think it as a software, but as techno managers, you should start now thinking YouTube as a platform. Why? Because you're definitely, as a user, you go and watch videos in YouTube, and as a publisher, you also go and publish YouTube videos. So you might be two different types of customers for YouTube. At one point of time, you might be publishing videos, and the same person can also be a customer watching somebody else's videos. So I hope you understand the difference. So similarly, I've listed various platforms, and LinkedIn is also a platform if you see under the recruiting and job search industry. And Naukri.com, which I've not listed here, but Naukri is very much a platform from the perspective of Indian recruitment and job search industry. So now you can segregate the platforms into 4 high-level types. The first one is an exchange platform where, like Amazon and like other platforms, you actually exchange goods and services through the platform. So I don't know how many of you know Airbnb. Airbnb is a platform that was started in the early or in the mid to late 2000s, and now it is valued in billions of dollars. So basically, you use Airbnb website to go and book apartments, private homes in abroad, and even in India. You can go and book for homes in private homes in India when you go on a vacation. So after Airbnb success, Indian companies also started many platforms, and they are hugely successful. So matrimonies are also platforms, and Ola, Uber are also exchange type of platforms. The next type of platforms are transaction systems. Now, what are transaction systems? So I've given you two columns where I've tried to explain the pre-digital platforms and the post-digital platform examples. So platforms does not mean only digital platforms. It also means traditional platforms. So in the second column, I've given you the list of pre-digital platforms. So in transaction systems, all the credit cards and the debit cards that you use are physical goods that can be called as a platform. Why is it a platform? Because you have two distinct sets of customers for the credit and debit cards. One set of customers is you, the user, and the other set of customers for the credit cards are the merchants. So if you go and buy, let's say, a clothing in a department store, the department store is the merchant who is going to accept your credit card, and you're the user who pays using the credit card. That's why it's a traditional platform. Now you come to the right-hand side, and you can see the digital examples of the same transaction platforms, which one is PayPal and Bitcoins, and a lot of these now Paytms. All these things are transaction systems which you use to pay in the digital world. The third type of platforms are ad-supported media. Again, in the traditional world, we had TVs and newspapers, and now we have websites like rediff.com and other websites where we pretty much don't pay anything to go and read news or other articles in rediff.com, and most of the revenue is coming from ads. And similarly with social networks like Facebook, we don't pay anything to use Facebook, but Facebook earns money. One source of money is advertisement, which is a major source of revenue. Finally, the hardware, software standards are also platforms. So color TVs, video cassettes can also be called as platforms. And now we have mobile operating systems because there are multiple customers who come and make up the mobile operating ecosystem. So there are app publishers who come and publish their apps for iOS and Android, and we as users also come and use those apps. And not only publishers, there's many other people who use Android operating system. So I think developer community is one who add features to the operating system by using their add-ons and APIs and everything. So this is just an overall view of the different types of platforms. Again, there are 4 types of platforms, namely exchange, transaction, ad-supported, hardware, and software standards. So as I said, we will go and understand the platform dynamics, the different ways platforms create value, and how they make money by using Facebook as our example. Because I think Facebook is one platform which many of us, I think almost all of us, use Facebook in our daily lives. Agreed that now youngsters are gravitating towards Instagram, but nevertheless, Facebook is still a very popular platform. I think they would have crossed 2 billion users as of now. So 2 billion means, just to put it in perspective, in the world, there are 7 billion people in the world. Out of that, 2 billion people are already in Facebook, or it could be even more now, but definitely 2 billion and counting. So in a few years, Facebook will have at least half of the population or more using its services. So Facebook is a very nice example to understand platforms. Now, before we actually start going and discussing the other concepts, just take a moment and read this question. From whom does Facebook earn money? This is something that we have not covered, we'll be covering, but I'm going to start a poll and I would like you to answer this. So let me end this poll and share the results. So about 56% of you have said all of the above, and only one person has mentioned users as the only source of revenue. Let's see what the next slide has to. Right, so the heading here is payers. This is how we have curated the slides. As and when new information comes onto the slide, we will show it in red. And so the red pictures that you see on the slide is the new information for that particular slide. But the rest, everything will go black. You'll understand it when we go to the next few slides. But for right now, payers or the people who pay to Facebook are all three people: users, advertisers, and app developers. So advertisers, I think, is probably something that all of you might understand, because whenever you scroll through the feed, Facebook feed, you can see advertisements, and we have already seen how Facebook and Google targets advertisements for your particular profile. They are very good at it because they use data. Now, data, the data that they use is your likes, your comments, your views, your shares. All these things form very important data about your personality, and the advertisements are targeted towards that. In our next session, next week, we'll be talking about how companies use data to create value, right? So yes, advertisement is definitely a major source of revenue. But remember, as users, we also, even though we don't pay for the software, Facebook software, but sometimes we pay the apps. You know, there are lots of, a few years ago, there was a very, very famous app called, it was a game, Farmville game. Now it's not famous anymore, but I think Zynga or somebody else came and took over. Or, you know, I'm not closely following the game industry, but Farmville was very, very popular in Facebook, and you can go and pay to purchase certain characters or certain animals, or to do certain things. Now, half of the money goes to app developers, and Facebook gets a share out of that. And that's where the money is coming from, users. And app developers, there are lots of apps. For example, even Messenger, Facebook Messenger is a separate app. There is a Facebook Lite. Now, these are all apps developed by Facebook. But if you're a software developer, you can go and develop Facebook apps. Many times we have seen apps which says, I think I discussed this earlier, who were you in your last life, and which personality do you resemble the most? What is your personality? All these things are small apps that private app developers like you and me can go and create, and we can launch it on Facebook. So Facebook gets a share from those app developers. So in a nutshell, all three people are paying to Facebook. Now, there is one more segment to this called publishers. Again, I kind of touched this topic in our last session. So there are news channels and newspapers who have their presence in Facebook. Now, I would like you to tell me whether they pay anything to Facebook. I'm going to launch the second poll. If some of you are not able to vote because your mobile does not allow you, just key in or just let us know in chat session so that we can look into it and see whether there is something that can be done. Because we are seeing only 27 people who have voted. I think rest, there's still 10 more of you who are not able to vote or who probably do not want to vote. Okay. Let me end the poll and share the results. Now, majority of you are telling that yes, publishers like news channels and newspapers are paying Facebook. Is that true? Let's see. So in this fourth one, so if you can see, I've made the rest of the boxes or the objects black again. The new one on the slide is publishers, and that's why I made it red, because as we go to the next slides, I'm going to add more and more content to this so that in order for you to kind of focus on what we are talking on that particular slide, I've made it red. I hope you get the drift. Okay, so here I've kind of said as sweetener. Okay, so publishers actually do not pay anything to Facebook, right? It's free of cost. It's like going and opening a business page. Like RVS IMSR now has a Facebook page, and we don't pay anything to Facebook. Now, why should Facebook give publishers a free platform? Because it helps you retain users. Now we'll also understand the different values provided by different sets of customers, but overall it helps Facebook be more popular. Just understand that right now. And let's go to the next slide. Now, what do you think of this question? Users are attracted the most to Facebook because of what? Okay, I'm going to end the poll, share the results. So almost it's split into half, 50-50. Users 46 and publishers 50. Let's stop. I'm going to stop this result. Now, the attraction actually comes from different all customers. So how we have explained this in the slide is, if you see the arrows coming out of the different objects, now there are 4 arrows coming out of users. One is coming out of why? Satish, I think why is this? I'm seeing the poll again on my screen. I thought I just, so let me close this. Okay. Satish, do you want to tell something?
Yes, sir.
I think yeah, go ahead.
Yes, sir. It must be a technical glitch, sir. I did not start the poll again, sir.
You didn't start the poll, right? So I just closed the poll. Let's see what happens now. Okay. So the spark or the spikes that you see, as that's what we are talking. Users are the most, users attract users the most. That's why we have 4 spikes on the users box. Imagine if your friends are not on Facebook, will you go to Facebook even if there are publishers and other app developers? Definitely we will not. And there is a concept here called as network effects, because it's very difficult to explain network effects right now before you understand certain other concepts. But network effects on a big picture means As more users come and start using Facebook, the Facebook platform becomes even more valuable. Just imagine your ordinary telephone, your telephone network. If there are only two people who are using the telephone network, you know, the value of the telephone network will not be as high as, let's say, another example, if there are 500 users. Because if you're planning to subscribe to a network, if there are only two people who are using that network and there is another network where 500 people are using, which network will you go and get subscription? Definitely you'll go to the 500 people. Why? Because you'll be able to talk to 500 different people. In the network that has only two, you'll be able to talk only to two people. Now, do not visualize this using mobile networks. You know, just think of networks where you can't talk between networks. So the more number of people use, the higher the value it is. So Facebook, the value comes from us, because we users create a lot of value. And yes, publishers and app developers also create value, but it is us who create a lot more value. Now, we are also telling you that users are the linchpin. What do you mean by linchpin? This is what I mentioned. Users are the most important segment of customers, which is making Facebook what Facebook is today. It's so popular because of only us users. So now this is what I would like you to kind of understand thoroughly, hopefully by now, or at least by the end of our orientation session. What does providing value mean? Is it providing money, advice, or the benefit, all kinds of benefit? Let me launch the poll. Answers are coming very fast. I think we've got almost all the answers. I'm going to end this poll, share the results. And so most of you have said providing any benefit that's useful to customer, including money, advice, other thing, which is the right answer. So any benefit that accrues or that goes to the customer is definitely, the business is definitely providing value. Now, who are the customers of Facebook? I do not have a quiz for this, but I would like some of you, or some of you who are comfortable with using Zoom chat, please go and tell me who are the customers of Facebook, because we have seen some information so far. So based on that, just go to the chat box and tell me who are the customers. Somebody said publishers. Okay, so all the people are customers to Facebook now. So remember what I mentioned at the start of the session. Facebook does not sell a particular product or service, right? So Facebook brings different people onto the network and they facilitate the interactions. Facilitating means helping people connect with each other. So from that perspective, app developers are customers, users, we are definitely Facebook's customers, even publishers and advertisers are also customers of Facebook. Good. So now value is something that we are going to go next, how Facebook is creating value and how others are also creating value for Facebook. So we all understand what value means, and let's see, from this we can understand where value is being created and in which direction it's going. So if you see, Facebook is in the center and its customers are all over the place. We have seen the diamonds as customers who are paying to Facebook, where Facebook earns money from them. And full screen, please. Okay. Okay. So we have seen the diamonds where they are the people who pay to Facebook, and we also saw, even though publishers do not pay anything to Facebook, but they keep Facebook users happy by making the news available to them so that more people come and use Facebook platform. And we also saw the spikes, meaning that who creates more value. Definitely the users create more value, but app developers and publishers also create value for the customers. Now, advertisers do not create value per se to other customers in the Facebook, because they are the major source of revenue to Facebook. So for Facebook, yes, there is value that is coming from advertisement, but to other users, we will see what kind of value they create. But the direction, the arrows that you see, pretty much goes from all customers to Facebook, and from Facebook to all different customers. So all the objects that you see around Facebook are all customers of Facebook. So it's enough if you understand till now that value is created from Facebook to its customers, and also value is also created from customers to Facebook, and from customers to other customers. We will analyze this in the next set of slides. Now I'm going slide by slide. I'm taking it very slow because at the end of the slide you'll see the big picture, but this is where it gets very interesting. So as users of Facebook, we may not understand the intricacies, how Facebook has kind of created its business model. But if you understand in very minute detail, they've taken so much of steps. They've really thought through different aspects so that Facebook is a very popular platform. It's not easy to bring and maintain 2 billion people. 2 billion people in crores means 200 crores. So there are only 700 crores in the world, I said. Out of that, 200 people are already using Facebook. Maybe it's increased right now. Maybe it's more than 200, but it's definitely 200 from the last time I saw the statistics. So we'll see, before we go to the next slide, what does monetary value mean? So answers are, I think a lot of you are very confident because the answers are coming very fast, and I'm going to end the poll, share the results, and 80% of you said providing benefits involving money. Anything that involves money, we use the term monetary. Yes, that's the correct answer. Let me stop these results. So close this, go to the next slide. Okay, and I have to expand it. Okay, so now I'm going to spend some time on the slide. So if you see the rest of the boxes that we discussed, and the arrows all have turned black, and the red ones are the ones that we are going to be discussing. So if you see, there are two types of reds. One is within the bracket and the other one is outside the bracket. Now, the ones within the bracket, what does this mean? It means Facebook's share of the money. So Facebook's get money. So I'll explain how Facebook gets money. But the other, the one without the bracket tells how the money is passed through the Facebook platform to the other users. Okay. So let's start from Facebook and advertisement. So Facebook and advertisements, that's what I'm going to explain now. So it's very easy to understand. It is the advertisers who pay money to Facebook to advertise on Facebook. So it's nothing new. It's a business model that all of us understand. Even in the traditional world, whenever you want to advertise in a newspaper, you pay to the newspaper. So the reason why it's in bracket is because the money that is paid by the advertisers goes directly to Facebook, and Facebook does not share it with anybody, right? So similarly, we'll go and see the value that is created between Facebook and app developers down below, between Facebook and app developers. So the users, in order to understand this, you also have to go to Facebook and users. Now, there is nothing that goes from Facebook to users because we don't get any money from Facebook, right? And Facebook in turn, instead, users pay to use certain features of the apps. So there are two types of revenues that is coming from users, and to two people. One is if you pay, let's say, 100 rupees to use a particular feature in a game. Now, a portion of that money goes to Facebook, and the rest of it goes to app developers. I hope you understand this, right? So app developers, as app developers, we can go and publish our apps on Facebook, and Facebook gets a share whenever people make in-app purchases. So usually these types of apps, they have the basic features where we can go and use those features for free of cost. But if you want to use some advanced features, we have to pay. Like in the Farmville game, as I mentioned earlier, we had to pay money to buy certain characters, and that portion of the money goes to Facebook, and Facebook passes the rest of the money to app developers. So that's why you have from users, there are two sets of monetary value, and from Facebook to app developers, there's just one. I hope you understand this difference now. Now, here again, the ones in the red are what kind of value is given by the platform, and what kind of value is given to the platform is the information that we have on this particular thing. Now, we saw monetary value in the previous slide. Here, we are seeing the non-monetary value, okay? So we kind of saw that value means it's money, it's benefits, it's advice, it's everything, all right? So anything that helps customers is considered as value. So see how, let me explain how Facebook has created value for itself and how Facebook is giving value to other users. Let's see the difference between, and let's see how the value is flowing between Facebook and users, right? So the up arrow from Facebook says networking tools. So Facebook is giving users networking tools. Now, what do you mean by networking? In business, in the business context, networking means the ability to connect with each other, with each other. So again, use the chat function to tell me what kind of networking tools does Facebook provide in order for you to kind of connect with your fellow users. Let me see. I mean, it's very simple, nothing earth-shattering answers, but let's see whether you can think of that as a value, because I want all of you to start thinking in terms of benefits that as value. So I would like to have some answers, please. Again, the question is, what kind of networking tools does so Pooja has given Messenger app, which is correct. You can answer to everyone. There are a lot more networking tools. I would like you to think in terms of value, benefits. How is Facebook benefiting you to connect with other users? Facebook Lite, okay. So I'll give you a clue. I want some answers from within Facebook application, Libra. Okay, I've not seen that, but it could be within Facebook as you use Facebook. Now, you don't, it's very obvious, it's very simple, but I think you're thinking of some complex answers. That's why you're not able to come. Post image in Facebook, exactly. Sharing information, excellent, Mithun, Gautam, excellent. Share files and messages with people. Now you get it, Amit Kumar. Okay, good. So, yes, stories, excellent, Dhyaneshwaran. Good. So now you understand what value means. So these are the networking tools. Again, even as simple as like, right? The thumbs up. Now, thumbs up is or a discovery, I should say, for Facebook, because the symbol for Facebook in front of its corporate headquarters is the thumbs up symbol. And we visited a couple of years back, and you know, it is the thumbs up symbol that has made, I would say, Facebook so popular, because prior to that it was some other thing. I think Google had Orkut in the mid 2000. It didn't have the thumbs up symbol, like symbol. It was Facebook which brought that, and they became so very popular. So yes, those are the values. Now, if you see the down arrow from users to Facebook, I have data, right? So Facebook is getting benefited enormously from the data that we all generate every time we use Facebook. So every time you share a post, you like a post, you comment a post, you share stories, and any activity that you do is data for Facebook. I told you how Facebook uses that data. Facebook does data mining, and it creates profiles for you so that advertisers benefit from that. Now, that is the next value that we are seeing, non-monetary value that is going from Facebook to advertisement. Now, many of you or none of you might have advertised on Facebook, because unless you own a business, there's probably no need. So I'm not going to ask you a question. I'll try and explain what targeting tools mean. There is an option in Facebook where you can go and choose what type of customers you want to target and in what geographical area. Now you can choose customers who are in the age between 18 and 24, who are in the district of Coimbatore, or in the district of Trivandrum, or in the district of Calicut, or in the entire state, or in entire India. So geographically, you can target which customers need to see this particular ad and what demographics. So demographics means your age, your education, your income, the area where you stay. All these comes under demographics, and also psychographics. So psychographics is based on, I said earlier, psychology, based on what you like and what you don't like. It has created various profiles of different users. So again, advertisers have targeting tools which can be used to advertise on Facebook, which they can use so that their advertisements is not going to everybody. So for example, let's say something that is very, very beneficial for college students need not go to adults who have finished college or who are in working, part of their lives. So that's why you have that particular value going from Facebook to advertisement. Now, if you see the arrows between app developers and Facebook, there is two kind of thing. So from Facebook, viral distribution is the value that Facebook is giving to app developers. Because there are 200 crore people, any good app that you come across on Facebook, if you share it, and invariably in India, I think the average user might have about, I don't know, 100 friends in their network, or somebody who's a little more popular would have finished all the 5,000 available friend availability, and a lot of other public figures have just a Facebook page where anybody, there's no limit for that. So anytime you like and share an app that you like, it goes to all the people in your network, and the moment even one of them shares, it goes to their network. So that is how viral distribution happens. And Facebook and social media platforms are the right platforms for viral distribution. So that is the value Facebook is giving app developers. Now, what are app developers giving in return to Facebook? We have mentioned user stickiness. Now, what do you mean by user stickiness? Again, if there are good apps on Facebook, you really want to go back to Facebook and keep using Facebook all the time. So take for instance your Android platform. So there are millions of apps in the Android platform, and that is precisely the reason why Android is so popular, because there are so many different types of apps for anything that you need. For every category there are probably hundreds of apps, and this supply of apps really helps users to come back and use the platform. And the decision to use the platform is made by the mobile company, the company that produces mobile phones. So right now there are three types of mobile platforms that are available. One is Apple iOS platform, and Android platform, and Windows platform. So it is the Android platform which is open to all mobile producers. So whether it is Samsung, whether it is LG, but even if you start a company, you can go and use Android platform for free of cost, because Google has given it for free of cost. And we have a separate discussion as to how Google makes money out of Android platform. But if you're a manufacturer of mobile phones, you cannot get iOS platform, you cannot use Windows platform, because Windows platform is used by Microsoft, and iOS is used by Apple. So Android is free. So coming back to Facebook, it creates user stickiness. Again, between Facebook and publishers, there are two kinds of the similar kind of value. Facebook helps publishers to make their content go viral, and in turn, good quality content from publishers makes the users in Facebook addicted. Or addicted is not the right word, but in order for us to, I'm just, exemplify, I'm just making it more dramatic by saying addicted. So good quality content gets people addicted to Facebook. That's what we mean by user stickiness. And so we've seen all these different types of values. So the value is just not from one segment to the other. It goes from all directions, and this is precisely the benefit of platforms, because if it's just a product, it is value goes in unidirectional. So businesses create value to one set of customers who use that product, whereas in platforms you have different sets of customers and value goes in all kinds of directions. That's why all these platforms are so popular, because you derive value from all directions. Sorry, I think I'm trying to enlarge it. Okay, so the heading here is through the platform to customers. Again, each and every object around Facebook is a customer, and the red ones are telling you. In the previous slide, we saw the value going from Facebook to customers and from customers to Facebook. In this slide, we are seeing how customers are using the platform to create and deliver value to other customers. So, for example, as users, we are using Facebook platform for social interaction, right? And we are using the platform for social interaction to interact with other sets of users. And from Facebook to publishers, Facebook is giving audience to the publishers are getting audience from users through Facebook. So as users, we are using Facebook platform to go and watch news. So similarly, now all these things might look very obvious and very simple, but great thought has been put into curating this entire business model, because even if certain value systems or the value flow, if I can use that word, if that does not interest different set of customers, or if it turns off, the entire ecosystem will be damaged. So it's very, very important to kind of curate, and there is a lot of software technology that has gone into yes, Mr. Tulsi, you have raised your hand, I can see that. Sorry. So again, the audience is for advertisers. The audience are publishers and users. For app developers, the audience again are users. So we are just using the Facebook platform to connect with other customers of Facebook. Right. So now we have kind of come to almost the end of this presentation, but now what do you think of Facebook? Is Facebook a two-sided platform or a multi-sided platform? So I'm going to start a poll, and even though we have not explicitly talked about different sided platforms, just think about, okay, go ahead. Is Facebook a two-sided or a multi-sided? Very fast answers. I think now we are getting the grip of answering. The answers are coming really, really fast. Almost done. So I'm going to end this poll in a while. End poll, share results. Almost 80% of you have said it's multi-sided platform. So can some of you type, what do you mean by multi-sided platform? Like with the help of, why are you saying Facebook is a multi-sided platform? What are the different sides? Please use the chat. What are the different sides for Facebook platform? The right answer is multi-sided platform is the right answer. It definitely has more than one side. Now, what are the different sides of the platform? Users, advertisers, publishers, people are using. I want some answers, please. I think a couple of you have answered. Good. Why are we saying Facebook is a multi-sided platform? All of you are thinking you're not app developers. Makes interaction among customers. Okay. Does it make interaction only among customers? Who else are there in the Facebook platform? Interaction among customers is definitely one answer, but there is more than yeah, okay. So what kind of customers? Okay, FB user, FB publisher. Excellent. That's what I would like. FB other people too. Good. So yes, Dhyaneshwaran, your answer is right in terms of customers, but I was kind of expecting the different sets of customers, which Amit Kumar has mentioned. User as one customer, publisher as one customer, and come on, you can. Couple of faculty members have almost written all the answers, but I want at least a couple of answers from our students as well. Name another customer of Facebook. User, publisher, customers. I'm talking about, Arjuna, I'm talking about not value, customers. Who are Facebook's customers? Okay. Okay, so yes, users, publishers, app developers, and advertisers are all Facebook's customers, right? And that's why we are calling Facebook as a multi-sided platform. If there was only two sides. If there were only buyers and sellers, then it means Facebook has, there are only content publishers and content consumers, then we will call it as two-sided platform. But now Facebook has multi-sides. They are advertisers is also another set of customer. App developers also is a customer. So not just content creation and content sharing, but it also, advertisement is also is important. Yes, I'll stop sharing the results. Now, here is the entire picture of Facebook business model. This is what we saw in each and every slide. Okay, so we saw who are paying customers to Facebook, which comes from the diamond objects, and publishers do not pay money. The rest of the customers pay money by various means. Advertisers pay for advertising. App developers get money from users. There is money involved, and Facebook gets a share of that money from app developers. And we also saw, yeah, so in terms of monetary value, those are the two things. And there is a lot of other values that we saw that was getting created. The value that is in the brackets, we discussed and we mentioned that that is the value that is coming out of Facebook and coming to Facebook. So users are creating value to Facebook, and users, Facebook is also creating value to users. That's what we have in the brackets. And the bold is the monetary value. And the rest of the types of value without, which are not in bold and which are not in brackets, are the value that users or customers are creating for other customers for which they are using Facebook. Now, I know we have covered too many things here, but for some of you, it might be very simple and easy, but for some of you, you might be a little confused. But don't worry, I think you might get a big picture now of what Facebook is and what the different aspects of Facebook and its business model. Now, what is a business model? Again, the precise definition is, business model means how do you create value? How does a business create value? And how does it capture value? So it is not enough if you create benefits for customers. You have to capture some of those benefits back, because that is what is your profit. So it's extremely important for a business to not only plan the creating values, but you also have to plan capturing values. So how is Facebook capturing value? Facebook is capturing monetary value from advertisement and from share of apps. And it's also capturing non-monetary value from all the rest of the things that we discussed. So this is what we intended to cover. And again, it's okay if you understand the big picture. So with this, we have covered two aspects of digital transformation. In our last session, we talked about customer networks. And in this session, we talked about creating platforms. Now, even traditional companies can create platforms. So this is not only, so I've given, so we discussed Facebook's case study. Even RBS can create a platform. We will discuss that case study maybe at a later stage when your term starts and whenever you have a break in the next digital musing sessions. It's very interesting to go over some case studies of American Express and even Nike shoes. All of you have know the different brands of Nike, Adidas, and Reebok and everything. Nike created a beautiful platform, and they really marketed Nike in a totally different way, and the revenues went up drastically. So we'll go over that case study. But before that, I thought Facebook would be the right one. So thank you very much, and we'll make sure we'll share these slides. and I'll see you in the next session when we discuss about data. How does data create value is something that we will discuss in the next session. So I said we will have a small discussion about what do you think of all these sessions that you're listening to in I know we are getting feedbacks, but if there's something that you want to add to that feedback, please feel free to share your answers. And you're welcome, Mohana. And maybe if not right now, just think about if you want us to kind of change some of our strategies. I know we are almost coming to the fag end of the sessions, but just let me know if you have anything. Okay. So thank you very much.